So if you didn't know, I have a website called The Bryant Review. I started it earlier this year, and it has quickly become the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. As you might have heard, other content creators are complaining about how YouTube has become a hostile platform. Gamers Nexus recently posted a video about how YouTube is posting hostile AI summaries underneath their videos, trying to soften criticism of like product reviews and other things. YouTube has really become a place that is just fundamentally hostile to creative people with integrity. And thank God that I started my website when I did, because it feels like the walls are closing in around creatives here on YouTube. And if you're interested in checking out some of the cool stuff that I'm doing with my friends over on the Bryant Review, you can head over there, GardinerBryant.com. It is a review site and a lot more. The tagline is technology for human beings, where we're talking about cool things that we love that are worthy of our attention. That's Linux, that's gaming and emulation, that's free and open source software, it's the Fediverse, right? But it's more than that too, because my friends are posting fiction or series on things that they love. And every Sunday, I spend the morning going back over the articles that we've posted over there, and I take a look back at the things that have captured attention on the site. And I wanted to share that with you here. I took the week off last week because of Thanksgiving here in the United States. And I get to spend time with my siblings and my nieces and nephew, and it was very, very nice. We posted 4 articles last week, and this week we hit 8. One of the things I like to do with the Week in Review is to actually check out the numbers, the actual analytics that we hit. And in the article, you can check that out. I'm not going to cover it in this video, but I wanted to talk about some of the updates that I made to the site this week, because some of them are very exciting. I invested a ton of time into the design of the Bryant Review, especially on Thanksgiving night. I went and like did a whole bunch of work to get the new design I'd been working on for like a month finalized and done. I have an extensive write-up about that, actually, which you can check out on the site. And I also added these share buttons. Now, I'm extremely proud of these share buttons. I have a pretty extensive in-depth article about my design process and my decision making when I created these buttons. I don't know if you know this, but most of the time when you use like one of the pre-made share buttons that you can get from, Facebook or Reddit or whatever, those actually spy on your users if you integrate them into your website. But if you build them yourself, if you do it right, they won't spy on your users. So that's why I took the time to actually build my own Reddit button, which it's kind of trivial to do, and I don't really go into how I built it. You can look at the code if you really want. But it's literally just a link, right? But it was not so trivial creating Fediverse share buttons. I'm not going to go too deep into it here. There's an article about it that you can read. There'll be links down below in the pinned comment and the description. These share buttons I am extremely proud of. And suffice it to say, there is now an open source share button library that I've created. You can find a link to that in the article. And you can integrate these share buttons into your website, which I'm quite proud of. Another thing that I did this week was adding a light mode by popular request. And I know a lot of people think dark mode is superior. I think of dark mode as kind of the Comic Sans of our times. Like, I don't like how dark modes look. I also respect people who prefer dark modes. That's why you have options. If you head over to the Bryant Review, it will default to your system preference for color scheme. So if you have a light mode theme on your phone or your computer, you're going to see the light theme on the site. If you have a dark mode preference set, you're going to see a dark theme on the site as well. And if you want to be able to toggle back and forth, I've made a toggle button that's for premium subscribers over on the site. So you can become a premium subscriber, help support this show, help support the work that we're doing over there, and you get a little extra comfort feature there, which is pretty fun, honestly. I like clicking this button back and forth. Another thing that I added this week for design was I added a little hover animation when you're hovering over the navigation menu here. The icon scale is adjusted, and the letter spacing grows or shrinks based on the hover state of each link. It's just a nice little quality of life animation. They didn't react when you hovered before, so I think this is quite fun. And finally, I corrected some styling issues on the mobile landing page, where the content of the hero and featured section had no margin on the left or right side, which meant that content was too close to the edge of your screen on mobile. Now I've fixed that, so it looks a lot better. But like I said at the top of this video, I like to talk about the actual articles that we posted to the site, because we're posting so much over there that things tend to get lost from the main page very quickly. I mean, this week we posted 8 articles, which totaled something like, what was it? 21,526 words. I am very pleased with that. 8 articles, 21,000 words. That's pretty freaking cool to me. So anyway, let's talk about the articles that we actually posted on the site, because I'm super excited about this. First up, John Knight posted an article about what everyone's missing from the Steam machine. And this is John's second article on the review, which was posted Monday morning. And if you don't know John, he is a regular contributor to the Linux Journal and Maximum PC. And yeah, he's a super nice guy. And the fact that he's contributing to my site is just crazy cool to me. In his write-up, he proposes a way that Valve can ensure the Steam machine's value without directly subsidizing the cost of the hardware. In his article, he says, quote, "Gaming hardware and graphics have plateaued greatly. Where 5 years used to bring significant differences in gaming and 10 years would be unrecognizable to the generation before it, now games are progressing much more slowly. A game from 10 years ago still has a chance of being sold at AAA prices and charting with the big hitters. And a 5-year-old game probably still is a AAA price and a top seller. Counter-Strike 2 is from 2012, but still ranks number 4 on the Steam sales charts. No Man's Sky is still a regular feature on store pages." And I'm not going to spoil John's proposal here. You'll have to check that out for yourself, and you'll find a link down below for that. But I have to say, John's post is considered and it's thought-provoking, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave a comment down below here, or you can sign up on the Bryant Review and leave a comment on his article. I'm sure he'd love that kind of feedback. All right, next up, Things That Don't Suck Lego Edition. Now, my friend Carl Chasensky, we've been friends since we were 2 years old. I mean, I've known this guy for, 35 years. Like, we've been besties since we were babies, basically. And I am, moved by the fact that he wanted to write for the site. He published his first article in a series called Things That Don't Suck. He pitched this idea to me, and I said, I love it. Now, I know the site is mostly about technology, but I want the site to be about good things, right? Things, not just the things that are good in the technology world, like free software or whatever, but also just good things that celebrate being human. And in Carl's series, that's exactly what he's doing. He's exploring, products or services or experiences, or even just the joy of a warm hug, right? In his first installment, Carl waxes poetic about the beautiful and unifying simplicity of Lego. It's really an emotional read, and it got me a bit choked up while I was proofing it. And I highly recommend you check it out. It's so good, and it brought me back to when I was a kid and we played Lego together with his cute little yellow Lego tabletop thing that he had. Man, so many great memories. Then this week, an article I was truly excited about. This has been in the works for, I think maybe a month, maybe a little bit longer. My friend Dash on Tuesday evening contributed another amazing developer interview on the site. And this time it's an exclusive sit down with most of the team behind Decky Loader. As far as I'm aware, this is the first and only interview their team has ever done. And the article actually got some recognition from Mr. Sejano on YouTube, which was really cool to see. He's become kind of a fan of the site, which is exciting, honestly. An interesting thing that I learned when I was reading this interview was actually that Decky Loader is kind of in a holding pattern of sorts. Dash asked, quote, I know that Decky is largely feature complete now since you've all spent years building it to be what it is now. What's a typical day's work on Decky look like for you? And developer Beebles replied, for the most part, I just describe it as stewardship. More recently, we've implemented a structured schedule for some maintainers to have a dedicated day of the week to review plugins in the hopes of being able to get through the backlog a bit quicker. Another thing that I really enjoyed was when Dash asked, has working with the Steam Deck hardware taught you any unexpected lessons about software development or perhaps user expectations? And developer Wumpus replied, when I learned React stores its internal state in an object called _secret internals do not use or you will be fired, I realized that even extremely competent software devs use silly solutions sometimes, which helped reduce my imposter syndrome. I mean, that revelation just tickled me, and it's a fascinating read. I highly recommend you check it out. If you're interested in like challenges of developing Decky Loader or the inner workings of a project like this, check out this article. It's definitely worth your time. There's a lot here too. I mean, I think this is over 9,000 words, which is just kind of mind-boggling. Carl contributed a second article this week called Things That Don't Suck, 8-inch Kitchen Knife. And Carl is a Renaissance man. He loves to cook, and that's why I wasn't surprised when his next article was about his favorite chef knife from Victorinox. This essay is a concise display of a man's affection for a good tool, and I have to say, he has a connoisseur's level of appreciation for this knife, and it comes from decades of expertise, and I thought this was a fun read. In my first article, it was kind of late into the week, I covered my design process for the share buttons that I mentioned earlier, but this is a 3,000 word write-up, and I cover my overall implementation of the humble Fediverse share button, which on its surface looks incredibly simple, but there's a lot more to it. Honestly, I didn't want to build these buttons myself. I figured that someone else must have built Fediverse, like a library for sharing articles and links on the Fediverse. Yet what I ended up finding was that nothing out there worked the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to be simple, clean, and in native JavaScript, and not having like TypeScript compiled with like 8 megabytes of, dependencies bundled in. I went looking, nothing came to meet my needs. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. So now I have a simple native JavaScript library that's MIT licensed and available for you to add to your website. And you can find a link to the GitHub project in the article. I welcome contributions and forks and everything. I'm curious to see how this develops because there's a lot more that I could see this functioning to do. Now, my second post of the week was called But I Have Nothing to Hide. This article arose when I was talking to my local librarian. She's a good friend of mine, and she asked what I do to stay safe online. And I went on and on about the software and the products and services that I use to protect myself and my digital sovereignty. And she said, you could give talks on this subject. I think she was kind of joking, but I ended up actually obliging her. And I wrote this article, I turned it into a slide deck, and then I've performed this talk at multiple local libraries in my area. Now you can read this article and you can find links to the services that I use, as well as if you'd like to have me come to a library near you, you can find a way to do that as well. Finally, I rounded out the week with an article covering the real ambition of the software that supports Valve's new hardware. It's called Valve's Plan Has Them Scared, and I made it into a video. It is my most popular video over the last 3 or 4 months, honestly. And the reason that it is the most popular video is because I have fundamentally changed my strategy here on this channel. It used to be that I would post 2 videos a week, and I kept myself on a very strict, stringent schedule. I don't do that anymore. I'm not interested in doing that because I don't feel like I was meeting that level of quality that I wanted for myself. And I feel like I have a lot more that I can offer by changing things up. So what I have decided to do is I'll post pretty much anything that's on my mind on the site. And then whatever starts to get traction on the site, I'll turn into a video. And it seems to have been working for me because my last few videos have seen quite huge reception from people. People seem to really like them. Comments have been overwhelmingly positive, and that seems like a winning strategy for me. So I'm going to stick with that for now. In this article, where I start by talking about Lepton, which is a fork of Waydroid, which is an Android container for Linux. Lepton is going to function similarly to the way Proton does, allowing developers who've published their games on Oculus a proverbial off-ramp from their errant choice of ecosystem. Then I covered FexEmu, which I got a lot of flack for calling it FexEmu. Okay, sorry. FexEmu is an open source x86 emulator for ARM processors. And I ended the article talking about why the barons of enshittification are so scared of what Valve's working on. You'll have to read the article or watch the video to find out why. But as far as I know, I coined a term in this article. I only mention this because several comments on the video version seem to resonate with that phrase. When I search enshittification baron, my article is the only thing that comes up. So that's kind of neat. So that's the article roundup for the week. I don't know if you like this kind of video. I don't know if it's going to even perform well. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully you found something to read and enjoy. You can help spread the word by sharing these articles with your friends. I just added those share buttons and I made it really easy for you. And also letting people know that this site exists. I mean, I really want to get as far away from YouTube as I can. You know, I still think that there's value in publishing art videos here to, you know, push people towards the site. I mean, honestly, the state of YouTube right now is just terrifying. So I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know with the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in the analytics for the site, how many people are watching, reading, and that stuff, members of the site get access to an analytics roundup at the end of the Week in Review article. So yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty neat. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for now. I want to thank all these fine folks who are members of the Bryant Review or who have pledged their support on Patreon. If you want to get your name listed over here, you can become a patron. You can become a premium member. Either one will work. You get some neat, cool features if you're a member. And I think that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.